Hello and welcome to Cavan TV. Today I'm at the house of Bishop Martin Hayes, the Bishop of the Kilmore Diocese. Bishop Martin is going to talk about his recent pastoral letter and he's going to give this year's Christmas blessing. Well, thank you, Bishop Martin, for talking to us today on Cavan TV. You would like to talk about your recent pastoral letter, and on foot of that you posed three questions to the people of the diocese. And the first one is, are people aware of the crisis within the diocese in relation to the number of priests?
Yeah, that was because much like the rest of the country, the age profile of priests today is that they're 70 years of age and over.
Yeah, and actually in your letter you threw out some facts there, and I'll quote from your letter, and you're saying 1/3 are over 75 years of age, half are over 70, and 2/3 are over 65, and 3/4 are over 40. That is crisis.
Yeah. Well, and as I say, it's not unusual to Kilmore, but I think it's important that people realise this as we plan, and hence the importance of the pastoral letter was to engage with people. It's one thing to write a pastoral letter, it's another thing then to ask people to respond to those facts. And the second question then that we highlighted there was, what would lay people, what could they do, what skills and talents could they bring in order to ensure the faith into the future? And then thirdly, what we're asking then is about masses.
Rescheduling
the masses, that there are an amount of masses at the moment, there are less priests, so we need to reschedule our masses so as to ensure, if at all possible, that we have full congregations and hence a good celebration of faith. Okay.
And perhaps one of the ideas you did throw out in your pastoral letter was a kind of an education for people. You're going to do it in contact with Maynooth University.
Correct,
a course, a fundamental course for people interested.
Yeah, and so what we would do, and there's two aspects of that. There's one, there's the academic aspect to it. The other is the aspect of placement. That people, we will be sending out information upon what the role of this pastoral worker would be, and then inviting applications. Now, people will need to discern, is that a calling that they can respond to? And their course then will be academic, but also it will include a placement in the diocese, so that from the very beginning they will be getting to know what their role is and how people are responding to that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in recent years you've had the introduction of Deacons, which is working very well in the parish in the diocese of Kilmore. And like when you say asking for people for ideas, like how far do you want people to take part in their church? Obviously, Mass is sacred and that's for the priest.
Yeah, every person by virtue of their baptism are called to participate fully in the church. And so we're open to that. Obviously, we will have to look at the feedback that's now coming in. And at this stage, I'd like to, indicate my thanks to people for their wholehearted participation in the parish meetings. And so what we have to do now, in consultation with Maynooth, is to work out exactly what a layperson can be doing with the priest. Because one of the key things and the key, I suppose, buzzwords of church today is co-responsibility, is people and priests working together. So we're working on that over the Christmas period, and we will get back to parishes again in the springtime. Okay.
So you're saying that, but have you any ideas to throw out there? Like, for example?
Some of the things that are coming into play via the feedback now is that people want a role and would like a role in caring for the bereaved. Okay. Another is a role in working with schools. And another then is in regular pastoral care of people who are ill and who are sick. That people, once they have the training and they have the buy-in from people, because that's important. It isn't a case of someone going on a solo run doing this, but they need to be accepted by people as good people with the skills and in particular with the human relation skills. Because part of a priest's work, and this is one of the things that's highlighted for us, is the unique role of a priest. That a priest not just has to have academic and theological qualifications, he has the people skills to work with people. And that's what these people, that's because what they're going to end up doing is working as part of a team with priests. And that's the future.
Yeah. Can this be a man or a woman?
Not just a man or a woman. Of course, it can be either. And you see, one thing is as well that I want to highlight as well is that we have models for this already. We have pastoral assistants. For example, we have people working in different parishes who are already doing this work. But this needs to be done now so as that more people can become aware of the possibilities of entering and taking on this role.
This is all happening in the Diocese of Kilmore. This is on your idea.
It's not just my idea, it's happening in other dioceses as well, and this idea would have emanated from the fact that I've been listening since my 3 years here, listening to priests, listening to people via our diocesan pastoral council, via the parish pastoral councils, via the council of priests. So look, this has to be the future. You know, and it is, I am very fortunate that there are other dioceses who have pioneered this kind of project over the last number of years, and I was involved in that beforehand, before coming to Kilmore. So I'm drawing upon that experience and on the people that I know to develop these courses.
Yeah. You've touched on it there, but I'd like to mention it again. We look around the world today and we see roles are changing. I see in medicine roles are changing, doctors' roles are changing, nurses' roles are changing, teachers' roles are changing, the priest's role is changing. This is the way forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the priest before...
He's no longer the one person you go to for everything to be done.
No.
We're now you're using the word co-responsible.
Absolutely.
And this is the way to go forward.
Yeah, you see, before the priest was, we'll say, the chair of everything and in charge of everything. Now the role is that the priest is called to be a facilitator. Now that's a challenge for priests as well, because priests were trained in an older model. So
that's the change.
Yeah, as there is a challenge for lay people, there's a challenge for priests as well, and for me as well. You know, that we're in a role of, as I say, co-responsibility.
Yeah. There's one thing, to see the further development of the church, you must get the youth involved. You have to bring the young people involved. The way forward for that would be co-responsibility. And as you said, getting people, you know, to work along with their priests and to know that they have a role in the church, that not just the priest sets out the role, but that the people have a role in their church.
Absolutely. And with regard to youth, that is important. And it isn't a case of bringing youth in, it's a case of church going out to youth and seeing where they're at. And that's a dialogue that has to continue.
So one way, of course, is music in the church can get young people involved, and we see a lot of that.
Absolutely.
And of course you're going to look forward to the Christmas celebration in the cathedral again this year. And that'll be wonderful, and that brings out all the choirs and the happiness and the joyfulness of Christmas. Well, thank you for talking to us, and your letter is very comprehensive, and it's food for thought.
Yes.
And I'm going to leave you now, and you're going to do your blessing to the folk for Christmas.
We get in touch with God through others, through creation, and especially at Christmas, when we celebrate the birthday of Jesus, who has come among us as one of us. No one has ever seen God. It is the only Son who is nearest to the Father's heart who makes him known. It's a line from the Gospel reading of Christmas Day. In our world today, we look for proof of everything and proof of God's existence. We have proof of God's existence at Christmas, as we're celebrating the birthday of Jesus who came among us. No one has ever seen God. It is the only Son who is nearest to the Father's heart who will make him known. I love that line there where it says that the Son was nearest to God's heart. Because it reminds me of a story of a friend of mine, Father Micheál Liston of Limerick, and he talks about the relationship between God the Father and God the Son, and how they said to each other, we have something great here between us. We have a great old spirit, a camaraderie, a friendship, a love. And God the Father then said to the Son, look, would you go down there to the people? They seem to be at loggerheads with each other. And would you share that love, that peace, that joy with them? And that is what Jesus did. And that's what we're celebrating at Christmas. Because Jesus came among us as a human being. Not only that, he came among us as a little child, as a little helpless baby. And we know ourselves that we can respond to a little baby. We respond to the child. God gave us the gift of Jesus. And Christmas, of course, as we know, is a time of giving and of giving presents to each other. Also at this time, and I'm very conscious of what has happened and what is happening in the Holy Land, the place where the whole story of Jesus began. And I pray that all the religions there, in particular the Jews, the Christians, the Muslims, that they get on into the future well together. We're only too aware of what has happened, of the war, the turmoil, and of the real need for peace. It's most appropriate that Jesus did come in those lands, and that now we pray for peace. And Jesus was one who identified with our brokenness. We know from the cross that he embraced that brokenness, and he knows what brokenness and vulnerability and turmoil and what it's all about. And so he is with all those who are suffering, and with those in particular who are helping those who are suffering. So in that spirit, we pray for peace. And I wish everyone in this diocese, and in particular all of you, your families, your friends, and in particular those who are abroad, I'd like to wish you peace and calm this Christmas. So happy Christmas, and God bless.